Vaginal birth is said to be a safer means of childbearing, but if complications occur, then a cesarean section becomes imperative. As you are about to find out in this report, certain medical conditions call for a cesarean section to save the lives of mothers and their children. And according to experts, CS procedures are quite safe, provided they are handled by professionals. Caesarean section, also known as C-section or Caesarean delivery, is the use of surgery in the delivery of babies, often performed when vaginal delivery could put the baby or mother at risk. Though a vaginal birth is said to be a safer means of childbearing, a caesarean section is often needed to save the life of the mother and the baby during certain medical conditions, such as when a placenta blocks the cervix, the fetus isn't properly positioned for birth, when mother has uncontrolled blood pressure or diabetes, or when pregnant with twins or other multiples.
Conditions whereby we recommend a cesarean section to a woman in labor is to either save her life or the life of the baby or both of them. And no doctor will just come to any woman in labor and say you are going to do CS, except we see these conditions. And for example, maybe a woman has been in labor for 2 or 3 days and the opening, the cervical opening, the birth canal is not wide enough to take the baby. Maybe it's a big baby, or the pelvis of the woman is not adequate enough.
Now, cesarean section could either be what we call an elective cesarean section or an emergency cesarean section. In the case of an elective cesarean section, during the course of antenatal visits, the doctor must have noticed or diagnosed a particular condition in the woman that will make delivery a very high risk for the woman. So what happens is the woman comes in before labor, and then a cesarean section is done to prevent that risk. So prior to now, like you mentioned, the olden days, because we didn't have enough doctors, or not a lot of women were going to clinic for antenatal, most of these conditions were not being identified as at the time, which is part of the reason why we had really high maternal deaths back in the day. You know, over 100,000 women dying out of every 100,000 live births.
Moreni Keji Olajide has had 3 cesarean sections. She narrates her experience.
My first child, about 11 years ago now, I was booked in for like on a Saturday, and I was there till on Tuesday. And the doctor that had the last check on me recommended that I should be operated upon because the breathing level of the child was not normal. So, and I haven't been there for like 4 days. We had no other option. So my husband and myself gave our consent that I should be operated upon, and the baby was brought out. Though the breathing, actually, he had to be resuscitated before he could be normal, kind of, be balanced.
For Moreni Keji and others like her, the joy of being alive and having a healthy baby supersedes the pains of cesarean section.
I really have to appreciate God for giving us the opportunity to agree with the doctors. Because by the time I was opened up, what was met was even beyond what the scan actually presented. So by the time the baby I was opened up, it was actually found that the baby had the cord horn. So, which was actually led to my not feeling the contraction in that progression that was expected. Because at the time the baby was forcing her way through, the placenta was hindering her, movement, and the cord was actually strangling her hand here. If I hadn't given my consent and I was allowed to go through that continuous labor, I haven't gone through it for like three days or more, I feel it would have been dangerous for the life of the child and likewise for myself.
I have a personal experience. She's my daughter. It was just last year. We've been expecting a baby girl. I mean, we knew the baby was big. You could see her. She was a girl, a lady that when she's walking on the road, other women will say, "Ah, let's give this woman a chance." And she was enjoying that good natured fun all around because the pregnancy was really big. And we were told that the doctor had already said her case is emergency CS. Alas, on the day she was supposed to give birth, some nurses said, no, you have the story, or you have the history of delivering, your first two babies were big, and before you know it, the baby was a goner. The baby was so dismantled, you wouldn't believe it by the time we saw the baby.
Unlike in Europe, North America, and the United States of America, where the rate of CS acceptability has been on the increase, caesarean section in sub-Saharan Africa, like Nigeria, Burkina Faso, and Niger, is still perceived as some kind of abomination, a curse on an unfaithful woman, or the lot of weak women.
We are very religious people in this country. We are very culturally biased in this country, and that a lot has impacted on our behavior, especially our health-seeking behavior. Women, people in general, need to begin to understand that it is God's will for us to be healthy. You know, He says, "May your body prosper, just as your soul is prospering." So that means God intends for us to be in good health, meaning we need to go to the hospital in case we need to. Because we had cases where these women stay in the hospital, in the churches, labor for hours and days on ending, and then at the point of death, these women are rushed to the hospital and expecting magic from the doctors. These things have to stop.
But how is CS perceived in religious circles in Nigeria?
Islam values life so much, especially when the mother is giving birth. That condition of giving birth is something that is a life and death and something. So if a woman is to give birth and maybe the doctors are satisfied or confirm that she can't give birth by herself, that she needs to go through or she needs to go under the knife, and that will make things very easier for her. Islam permits that.
Some educated and civilized women will come to you and say, "Daddy," as they call pastors in Nigeria, "my doctor said I will be undergoing cesarean operation on so date. Pray for me for its success." Why some will tell you, "Over my dead body, I reject it, I cast it, I bind it." But I do tell them that it depends on the medical scenario. We do not rule miracles out. Anybody can deliver perfectly. God wanted everyone to take in and deliver. But it depends on the health status and the medical scenario at that time. And when it becomes obvious that this person ought to go through cesarean operation, nothing stops that. The Bible did not forbid that.
Despite these views, a significant number of women are still averse to CS, even in the face of obvious clinical indications and sometimes fear of death. Many also believe some doctors carry out CS for monetary gains.
It's not so easy convincing a woman in labor that she will undergo cesarean section. Anybody will be afraid of any operation, no matter how it may be, and especially that the woman will or whoever is concerned will know that he or she will be put to sleep, and that's really the fear. But I think technology has really advanced nowadays that we don't even need to put the patient to sleep anymore. We can give spinal, in which we'll be discussing with the patient and be operating at the same time, whereby the patient will not feel any pain whatsoever. And I think these has allayed the fear of most people, irrespective of the fact that many people still believe it's a taboo, or it's not. It's a threatening thing, it's a life-threatening thing to wanting to operate on them. If you go to the right center, it's not life-threatening.
To increase acceptability of caesarean section in Nigeria, many say clinicians should endeavor to tell patients clearly the indications for the procedure and be ready to answer questions that they may have.
There are things that a woman should be prepared for, emotional preparation, you enlighten them. Don't just tell a woman you're going to have CS. Different factors that could be responsible for different reactions in different human beings. As we are not the same. Me, I'm not easily given to fear. I mean, for you to see something that will scare me, just know that almost half of Nigeria is already scared. That is for me. But there are some people just saying knife, and they're like, what are you talking about? What are you going to do with it?
They are also advocating that CS education be considered a routine at antenatal clinics.